Okay, I will give you some information, an additional information about what Pennsylvania system is. As I have said earlier, that Pennsylvania is more different than Auburn model, Auburn system, because in Pennsylvania it is more in a humane way, of which the prisoners were engaged to some spiritual retreats, and it says that that in Pennsylvania system, the solitary confinement there aspect of incarceration is coupled with a Bible reading, with the end in the view of making the prisoner undergo an emotional transformation. We're going to rehabilitate the prisoners and to eventually leave the facility a reformed person. Finally, a reformed person. In the essence, that the Bible is being used to specify and mollify the convict, that makes him more pliable and therefore more exploited productive as they go out, as they were now a transformed individual, exploited reproductive member of society upon his or her release, upon their release. So that's the goal, or that's the system of Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, the jail in Pennsylvania, the model of Eastern State model. Okay, the emerging paradigm. Yes, where is it? Okay, here I will use pen only. The emerging paradigm of correction, which is to restore the offender to his obligation as law-abiding citizen. We're going to reform. We're going to transform the prisoner. We're going to reform the prisoner or the offender, that he or she will be now a law-abiding citizen of the country, has gained popularity of both the theory of and practice. Prisons of today's are operated, manned and built with the purpose of following the theory of restorative justice. Now, what is restorative justice? Restorative justice is a way of thinking about what is best of many connections among crime victims, their offender, and the criminal justice process. What is best for them between the victim and between the offender, and of course the criminal justice system, the system of criminal CLG. Okay, with some about these connections, according to restorative justice advocates, may be incorrect. They may be incorrect that the victim should be at the center rather than excluded from the process, that the victim and the offender are not natural enemies, the victim are not primarily distributive in their view of justice, and that prison is not necessarily the best way to prevent repeat crimes. So, this 4 informations is according to restorative justice that the citizens or the people will misunderstood or misunderstand this. What is restorative justice? This is an incorrect phrases or sentences according to them. Restorative justice, at least in a principle, seeks ways for victim. They are going to seek ways for victim and offenders to cooperate in preventing future crime and repairing harms. That is restorative justice. That's according to Sheridan and Strong of 2007. Apparently, restorative prison system of today is manifestation of the level of advancement of human societies. Every facet of man's institutional systems indeed is a reflection of what and how of our government establishments, the condition and the operation of the government establishments. The prison, which is an important part of justice system. Prison is a very essential or crucial part of justice system. It is a reliable indicator of how well society defines itself. The conditions of prisons will therefore be in the core of any discourse in inmate rehabilitation and correction. Okay, next slide. Now, let's go to rehabilitation. What is rehabilitation? Rehabilitation is used and understood from the Christian approach to prison's rehabilitation program. So, which uses prayer and spiritual transformation so that the prisoners who have been released will not have the tendency to be brought back again. So there were practices in this program, the prison rehabilitation program, of which the prisoners practiced to praying and more on spiritual transformation. For example, this program has a spiritual retreat of the prisoners of which they were gathering together, and then to in a spiritual way of transforming the prisoners. Prisons that are into the faith-based rehabilitation program want the inmates to explore their faith more deeply and encourage them to indulge in daily prayer and worship. Of course, rehabilitations that according to rehabilitations today in 2012. So the prisoners were being the prisoners has an activity which they worshipped and praised God. Their selves is they are willing to be transformed through God, because God is the only way He can change us. But there is a chance to be changed. Okay. While in correction, as you can see in the picture. So sad. Corrections, on the other hand, is the function typically carried out by the government agencies and involving the punishment, treatment, and supervisions of persons. Supervisions of persons who have been convicted of crime. So in corrections, there are the one who functions, who the persons were going to be punished, of which takes place. The persons were going to be punished, treatment. They has to be supervised. That's according to STOR in 2008. Next, okay. The correction agency is under a very high social expectations to produce a good citizen upon release. Those correction agencies, they has a high expectation of which once a prisoners will be released, they are and going back to the community, they are called transformed na. They were the prisoners are transformed na. They are reformed. They are expecting a high social expectation that corrections will going to produce a good citizens upon release. As an agent of the law, the corrections officer does not only have a simple responsibility. Corrections personnel does always have the simple responsibility of ensuring order in the facility, but should, under the new paradigm, see to it that the released convict is a reformed person. So the correction personnel, the correction officers must ensure that the offender, the prisoners upon release is being now transformed, being now reformed. They are now the prisoners has the new beginning as they go back to their communities. Okay. Under whatever prevailing circumstance the correctional institutions will be, inmates will survive. Inmates will survive, be formed, or become recidivist in the process. The many interventions that happen within the walls of the prisons are partly responsible for the kind of inmates that are released, or even the ones that stays on the prison for good. Okay? Especially those who sentence a life imprisonment. So, see, being a prisoner is so hard. You are being punished physically, emotionally, mentally, and you are spiritually inclined as you go along. Okay? If you want to change, then you should have to experience that. Okay? Next. Okay, now let's go to the second topic, which is the prison antiquity to modernity. What is prison? What is prison look like in the past? Okay. According to this, the history of prison could be as old as the human history. They say that prison, the word prison, is as old as the human history, the history of history, the history of prison. Okay? The need of man to come up with an exacting punishment has caused the evolution of prison. The need of man to come up with an exacting punishment, meaning the need of the prisoner to have an exacting kind of punishment, depending on what is his act, his behavior, what kind of punishment will he or she have. Okay. The Catholic Encyclopedia gives a detailed narration of the history of prison. Accordingly, many jurisconsults and religious, we're going to change it into pen. Okay. History of prisons. Accordingly, many jurisconsults and religious scholars include imprisonment among the number of penalty recognized in Hebrew legislations. Next slide. It is believed, this is based on the history, okay? It is believed that during the time of Nebuchadnezzar, we all know who is Nebuchadnezzar is, the king of the Babylonian Empire, that there were at least 3 prisons in Jerusalem. The first place is in Jerusalem, the Greek city of Athens, in Rome, and of course, in today's prison. You will know what kind of prisons are there in this kind of places. Okay, next. In the Greek city of Athens. As you can see in the picture, here it is. It is made up of stones. Okay, that's their prison. On about this period, in the Greek city of Athens, imprisonment was imposed as a penalty. It was imposed as their penalty. Imprisonment is their penalty. As of today, it is. In fact, prisoners were deprived of freedom. They are not. They don't have freedom of movement by having their feet attach the wooden blocks. Okay, that's in Athens. Next, in Rome. Here it is. You observe in the picture. There is a hole here. The Roman Empire, Roman soldier, the prisoners. Okay. In Rome, prisoners were enclosed in an upper chamber, lighted only by a narrow loopholes. This is the loopholes, and if they were condemned to death, they were thrown into the dungeon. The word dungeon in the past, as in history, is I guess I could say that the word dungeon is a scary place, a very dark place, I guess, as what I have imagined. And it is kind of there were people thrown there as that's what I have seen in some stories. Of course, I will for example, the Daniel and the lion, of which Daniel was thrown in that kind of place, of which there were underneath there were a lot of lions, I guess. I guess so. Through its opening on its roof strangulation. So here They were thrown. The prisoners were thrown there. Okay? Whoops. Sorry for that. So, that's it. Next one. In today's prisons. Just like some of today's prisons then serves to be punishment placed. It is a punishment place. That is prison. Just like in the past. Okay? Prison is a punishment place where offenders either suffer their sentence for life or for a specific period of time, depending on the gravity of their offense. It depends on the gravity of their offense, of their act, of their case. Okay? It's either you will sentence for a life imprisonment, or you will going to have sentence only for 3 years and whatever. It depends on the gravity of your offense, of his or her offense. Okay? Again, just like today's prison, however, the Roman penal system in Rome, Roman Empire evolved into a more considerate and humane type of system. Why? Considering that it has accepted and embraced. Where is it? Okay. Embraced the theory that imprisonment is not much of a penalty, but means of supervising culprits. It is not much a penalty, they say, but it is a means of supervising the offenders or the culprits, the prisoners. Yes. Okay? In today's prison, particularly in the Philippines, here in our country, the idea is similar to life imprisonment, as differentiated from the concept of reclusion perpetua. The reclusion perpetua, revised penal code of the Philippines, a penalty that imposes a jail term for 40 years, although life terms are still imposed under the special laws. The care of the jail up to the middle of the 3rd century was included among the duties of the triumvirate capitale. I don't know if I pronounce it very clearly or very correctly, but yeah, triumvirate capitale. While the provinces more regularly administrations entirely under military controls was being instituted, according to Linlock 1999. Triumvirate capitale or capital, I guess so. It is a prison building designated by law or used by the sheriff for confining. For confining or detention of those whose persons are judicially ordered to keep in custody. But in cases of necessity, the sheriff may make his own house or any other place a prison. A sheriff, that's according to Juridical Dictionary in 2005. The sheriff has the power, has authority to have a prison itself. Okay? Unlike in today's prison, however, the accused then were not separated from those that were already convicted. nor were the sexes kept apart. Through there are instances of solitary imprisonment. So that's prison. That is prison in antiquity to modernity, in today's prison. Okay? So that's it.